G'day, Peter here from the Property Club, reporting live from Subic Bay, and it's been raining non-stop, and I thought I'd go out today because there's some blue skies, some beautiful blue skies, and the rain looks like it's behind us for the time being, but it is rain season. The rain will pick up again, no doubt. So today what I'm talking about is new versus old property. What is better to buy? Are you better off buying a new property or an old property in Thailand? So in particular, I'm looking at the moment at Bangkok and Pattaya for condominiums for sale, and I'm considering, and it's hard to say, should you buy new or should you buy old? Look, there's actually arguments for and against both, whether you buy new or old. So let's get into it, and be sure to comment below with your thoughts, whether you prefer new or old, and let us know how you feel on the subject. Let me just adjust the camera there slightly. There we go. So personally, I prefer new, okay? I definitely prefer buying new. But buying new comes at a cost, of course. It's more expensive. Obviously, everyone would prefer a new and flashier apartment. The downside of buying new is obviously the price, and it comes down to the price per square meter. So at the moment in the marketplace, you can buy roughly, and my target for old condominiums in Bangkok is currently 44,000 Thai baht per square meter. My target for new or properties that are within 5 years old, say 5 to 6 years old maximum, my target is actually 88,000 Thai baht per square meter. So that gives you a good indication. With the targets in mind, you can see that new condominiums cost literally double, right? If you buy for the target, it will cost double of what an old condominium will cost you. So it comes down to your budget, and if your budget was, let's say, like me, my budget is 4.4 million Thai baht. So for that kind of money, I could, hope to get 100 square meter apartment when it comes to an older style condo. But if I was buying a newer condo, I would only get 50 square meters. As a family man, it's a bit of a dilemma, because the thing is, 50 square meters, I'm looking at, big studios or 1-bedroom condominiums if it's near new. And that's a problem for me, because now I have my family, I've got my son. The preference is to get a 2-bedroom. So that leaves me in the market at looking at old stock. Or living in the same room as my son, which could be a little bit tricky, no doubt. So personally, because of my personal situation, I think I'd prefer a larger condominium, which means most likely I will have to opt to buy an older style condominium. It is trending now, especially in Bangkok and even Pattaya, that people are actually leaning towards purchasing a old style condominium that's like 20 plus years old, built in the 1990s, possibly, mid 1990s, from about 1992 to 1994 and beyond, right, up to 1999. And the preference is because of the price being a lot cheaper. People are coming in, swooping in, buying them for like 40 to 50,000 Thai baht per square meter, and then fixing up the property, and obviously doing a flip. So they'll flip it, buy it for 40, put in 10,000 Thai baht per square meter, and maybe try to flip it for 80 to 90,000 Thai baht per square meter. So that's what's going on, right? There's definitely, in the past, we've seen a trend where older style condominiums just continue to depreciate. But if you've been watching my video most recently, that is no longer the case. Actually, we're starting to see, older style condominiums, depending on the building, either plateau or gradually increase, right? Mostly, it's kind of like a snake and ladders, but ultimately just a gradual increase. And some are fairly consistent. If you watched the video last night, some buildings were increasing. I'm talking about older style buildings increasing 10% year on year on year on year. So let's say it started at 40,000 Thai baht per square meter. Over the last 10 years, it's gone from 40,000 Thai baht per square meter to 80,000 Thai baht per square meter. So that tells you, hey, look, yes, there's definitely still a demand for older style condominiums, and the demand is definitely increasing, which is obviously pushing up prices. Now, ultimately there is somewhere in the middle, and this is kind of where I'm trying to get to at present. So somewhere in the middle is, look, there could be some condos that were built only like 10 years ago, so kind of in the middle between the 1990s, in the last 5 years. I'm talking about condominiums built in the early 2000s. So early to late 2000s, if you're lucky. Late 2000s, even then, people are still asking, big money. But what I'm finding is there is a middle ground, and especially now with COVID-19, let's call them aging condominiums. So the solution for myself personally, and what I'm trying to do, is not to buy old and not to buy new, but to buy something in the middle, something that's aging, something that's 10 plus years but less than 15 years, and trying to maybe buy that around the 60,000 Thai baht per square meter. So there is kind of like this third market that is emerging. So I would say if you can negotiate now, especially during COVID, and get some kind of boutique building in Thailand, you're doing really, really well. But anyway, back to new versus old, because it's still hard to grab a bargain. No doubt it's been very difficult, especially in Bangkok City. Bangkok, I think with COVID's fared very well, and it's still very much in demand, condominiums in Bangkok City. The other argument is older style condominiums are actually built better. And actually, I do believe that. Some of these condominiums, look really nice. They're very grand looking. They've got these big gates. The footings are deeper. The construction quality was actually a lot better, in the 1990s and early 2000s versus now. And I think that's well and truly true. I mean, look, the condominiums that I was looking at last night, you can see these beautiful stone marble floors. Whereas now you've got like these cookie cutter design, like the quality's bad. Like you can hear, the neighbor next door, being a bit loud. You can hear that stuff in some of the newer condominiums. Whereas the older condominiums, you don't hear that because, the walls are thick, the quality's better. The footings, the piers, everything is better. It's a better quality, depending on the building, of course, right? So be careful. Now, what I would say is if you can find something that's boutique, right? Something that's boutique, like a nice building where there's only like 2 to 4 units per floor, and, the site is built on a very generous size, like, an acre, 4,000 square meters, something like that, and upwards. Then you might be doing well as well, because then you'll have big grounds, lots of facility, room for parking, and this sort of thing. Whereas these modern designs are built on like really skinny, small allotments, and they're just huge, immense towers, but they don't have much land, right? And also, if it's a tower of 500, right, and 500 people buy in this block that's only built on 1,000 square meters, hey, it's not as good for investment either. Actually, that's another win for the older style condominiums, because older style condominiums, maybe you only find 50 to 100 in the block, and the block size is 3,000 or 4,000 square meters. So ultimately, that development site is actually worth more, and the unit itself, if it was being redeveloped and bought out by a developer, is of course worth more also. Spanner in the works, actually, which is an argument for new condominiums now, is actually where we're seeing a lot of the discounts. And I did a video on this very recently about developer discounts for new condominiums in Bangkok, Thailand. So check out that video I did just the other day. Actually, some developers are discounting like 30+%. So maybe it was like 140 something thousand Thai baht per square meter, brand new, and they've discounted all the way back to like 110 or 100,000 Thai baht per square meter. So that's actually starting to look good, especially when, some of the resellers of the older condominiums, and I have seen a few buildings where people are asking crazy money. I'm talking buildings built in the 1990s, whereby they still want 80 to 90,000 Thai baht per square meter. why would I do that when, I can spend a little bit more, say 100,000 Thai baht per square meter, and get a condo that is brand new? So that's another benefit, and it's kind of, like I said, thrown a spanner into the works, because now people are thinking, well, maybe it could be an opportunity to buy brand new now. Now, positive thing, like I said, COVID-19, Thailand has fared very, very well with COVID. Where they've not fared well is obviously tourism. So tourism has dropped out of the sky and it's crashing, right? So tourism has definitely taken a huge effect, and obviously it's restricting those foreign buyers from being able to purchase. Hence why developers are offering these huge discounts. Other argument I heard is in Thailand that buildings can only last a maximum of 50 years. Now, I'm not sure that this is correct and that it has, a precise expiry date. I think it comes down to, the engineering report, and if the building itself is still deemed livable. If you have more information, please do comment below. But what some people are saying is that 50 years, actually buildings get knocked down and repossessed by the developer, and you're left with nothing. So look, not sure if that's just, people talking online, and, not sure if that's correct or not, because my understanding is with older buildings, what usually happens is a developer comes along, buys out all the individual units, knocks down the old building and redevelops. At least that's what happens in the Western world. But in Asia, it's kind of yet to be seen, because we haven't been seeing much of this redevelopment. Mainly, it's just been, building on old lots and developing, because it's an emerging market. It's a new market, so it's yet to be seen. Also, I think some of these older condominiums will last a lot longer than the newer condominiums, which is a bit of a worry. But definitely that is an argument, for buying newer over older, because some people think there is an expiration date on the condominium. Lastly, I just want to talk about being comfortable. Honestly, we come to Asia. Why? As expats, we come to Asia and places like Thailand because we want to live like a king. We can live in small, dingy, dark-looking apartments already back home. I think for a lot of us expats moving to Thailand, we have this vision. And we have this vision of a modern-style condominium where it's got all the facilities. It might have a squash court, sauna, a sky pool with amazing, phenomenal views. Things that you can't get in the Western world because it's just overpriced. So what I would say is don't be too cheap, right? Try and find something in the middle. And at the moment, I'm just trying to, find a healthy balance of finding something that, might not be the cheapest thing, but might not be the most expensive, but is in a good location, has decent facilities that still look okay, and you're going to have an enjoyable time. I think this is definitely important for those owner-occupiers who are looking to buy and live in the condominium. However, if you are an investor, I'm leaning more towards actually buying the older style condos, refurbing them, and either flipping them or getting a good return on investment. Okay, keep in mind also, there's also some awesome opportunities to buy brand new, but you're still going to pay, and I think prices still have a while, just a little bit more to drop yet before we see the bottom. Anyway, thanks a lot. This has been Peter from the Property Club. Please do share, like, and subscribe. Double thumbs up.